What is up, guys? It is Jack, back up in this bitch with 10 Litres Fitness, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about what it means to be alpha and how bodybuilding and fitness all kind of ties into that kind of ideology, if you will. Okay, now firstly, what does it mean to be alpha? Okay, now as I understand it, alpha is, it is the way to become alpha. It's in the way in which you conduct yourself on a daily basis. Okay, it's someone who's alpha is someone who takes care of shit, and acknowledges their responsibilities and lives up to them. Okay, and they don't make excuses. There's no lies and bullshit about it. They just get shit done and then they get the results. And because of that, they come to, in a very natural and organic way, command respect from those around them and come to be somewhat of a natural leader. People kind of tend to look up to them, in a way that, it's not necessarily a conscious thing. It's just that people come to recognize that, these people, are very admirable. They are very impressive in the way they handle themselves. So, now to address really how bodybuilding plays into that. Now, obviously, a lot of what it takes to get an impressive physique and to be successful in bodybuilding, just as for the average lifter, a lot of what it takes are characteristics that are often synonymous with someone who is alpha. Okay, so you need to have discipline, and even when you don't feel like doing it, you need to take care of business in the gym, in the kitchen, stay on your diet to get shit done. And then further to that, you've got the fact that having an impressive physique is a very visual, in your face, very in your face kind of thing, and that kind of thing is going to command respect, particularly amongst those who also lift and therefore know how challenging it is to get an impressive physique. So it's a very visual demonstration, like I say, of a lot of, very alpha-ish kind of characteristics. Okay, but at the same time, I think that, there's a lot. Now let me explain the fallacies associated with this. The first fallacy I want to recognize is that having a great physique does not make you alpha. Okay, to be an alpha, you really need to have the whole package. So just because you take care of your body and get shit done in the gym, maybe if shit's fucked up in the rest of your life, so, maybe you're not paying child support, maybe, your finances are a mess, maybe, you're not looking after your other responsibilities, essentially. So, having a great physique alone does not make you alpha. And the second fallacy is, to be alpha, you do not need to have a great physique, okay? Now, I would say that, if your body is a complete mess and your health is completely ruined, that can impede you being alpha, simply because, that's, it's different from having a great physique. That's actively neglecting your responsibility of health and looking after yourself, So if your health is all messed up and you're not, you're chronically obese or whatever, that's kind of, that's somewhat, neglecting that responsibility to look after yourself, if you will. So again, not alpha. Now, however, just because you're not ripped and shredded, that doesn't mean you can't be alpha, because you may have all other kinds of responsibilities to take care of, and you may still be someone who is commanding of respect and that people naturally come to look up to. However, bodybuilding might not be your thing. You don't need to demonstrate it visually. Like I say, it's more based on how you conduct yourself on a daily basis and the things that you do. Okay, now following on from this, I want to talk about a more specific example of what I consider to be a false alpha. Okay, someone who people wrongly often consider alpha, right? Because let's face it, nowadays the word alpha has but it can often have a negative stigma around it. Okay, it's kind of for a lot of people, the word alpha and people, shooting for being alpha is kind of a douchebag kind of thing. And the reason for that is that a lot of people confuse what it means to be alpha with just having dominance in any social setting. Okay, so an example of a false alpha in that respect is kind of the kind of douchebag guy who, maybe does have, impressive physique. They may just be big and stronger than, the average guy. And they then use that, they're very loud mouth as well typically. And then they use that physical presence and, their size and their strength to intimidate others and then push them around in that social setting. Now, first thing I want to say is there's nothing alpha about that, okay? Picking on people who are smaller than you and pushing them around, bullying them, that's not alpha, okay? But the thing is, because they have dominance in that kind of way, a lot of people, mistakenly call them, alpha. But the thing with that is that, like I say, that it's not alpha because they're pushing around people that are smaller than them, and it's kind of, and any respect that they gain is kind of a very enforced, respect, and it's not really a respect, it's more out of fear than it is out of admiration. And the thing with that is, that those who are alpha come to command respect and gain it naturally, very organically, okay? It just kind of tends to, they're not out looking for it, they're just doing their thing on their hustle, and they kind of come to get it, come to get that respect because people notice what's going on with them, they notice how they get shit done and they get results, and like I say, they naturally become someone that they look up to rather than someone who, enforces the fact that you need to treat them a certain way. Okay, so that's not alpha. And even in where I very started, very way I started with my description of this false alpha, I used the word douchebag, you'll notice, and that term is really, if you're going to call someone a douchebag, that is a disrespectful thing to say about someone, right? Whether it's true or not, right? I call people douchebags. There's nothing wrong with calling people that, but when you think about it, the fact that that word would pop into your head when you think about someone, that's automatically, that person, the way that you view that person is automatically, with a, as not someone who commands respect. So typically these douchebags are really the opposite of what it takes to be alpha as well. But continuing from this, there's also but that also typically when someone is very cocky, they can be described as cocky or arrogant, so they're always boasting and bragging. And this is another type of false alpha, and they may share characteristics with the douchebag character I mentioned previously. Typically someone who boasts a lot is probably a douchebag, right? Now this is another one of the things where, you have a false alpha, because someone who comes to, boast and, is very cocky and very, talks a lot, talks himself up a lot really. That really, when you go out and do that, and you think about it, that is really, what are you doing? You're groveling, kind of begging for respect, because you don't get it organically and naturally the way a true alpha would. So you go out and you try and convince people that, you are deserving of respect and that you command it. When in reality, the fact that you're doing that is going to put people off, even thinking that you're worthy of that respect, because you are groveling for it, you're begging for it. And that is, like I say, again, the opposite of alpha, which is also why someone who is trying to claim alpha, so someone who comes out, and says, oh yeah, I'm alpha as fuck, I'm alpha, they automatically, by doing that, ensure that they are not actually going to be considered alpha, because they are bragging and, begging for that respect. Okay guys, I think that's pretty much all I have to say on that today. Sorry if it was a little opinionated and not very helpful, but it's something I've been wanting to address. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. I have been Jack with 10 Liters Fitness. I'll see you guys in the next one.